Microphone check, microphone check.
Check.
Oh yeah, we sound good. Nice. How's it going? How's it going? We are back once again with another week of ATP Around the Post podcast with your boy Jay, and Fig GPT is here. How you feeling, man?
Good. Have the Alcaraz attire from the US Open.
Beautiful.
So just...
You gotta bring the guns out, huh?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Kyrgios said the arms look good, though, so...
That's true. He did say that, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously, it's been a week since we've been around. What's new? Where are we starting at? What's going on?
Yes, obviously the US Open is now over, so we have the results of that. Mm-hmm. And also a big comparison, so we'll get to that. But in honor of the tank top, we're going to start off with a little bit of Alcaraz news.
Okay.
So he is the second youngest US Open champion ever at 19 years, 3 months. You want to guess who the number one, the youngest US Open champion is? He's my favorite player.
Pete?
Pete Sampras.
Pete Sampras, the pistol.
19 years, 15 days.
I didn't realize how young Pete was when he won. I didn't realize that.
Yes, exactly. And he and Nadal in the Open era are the only ones to win titles in their teens, 20s, and 30s.
Okay.
So, any thoughts there?
Pretty insane. I mean, this speaks to the dominance of Pete Sampras on a hardcourt. So, very impressive.
Yes, I agree. And also Alcaraz being the second youngest, he's on route to winning a lot more. Mm-hmm. And also, you brought up before we started, he did lose the first set to Mahash in Davis Cup, but he did win the match. It was a retirement in the third, but that's his first match since the US Open.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see that he did win his follow-up match. I think that's good for his confidence. And also, I think a lot of people were just curious after some of the statements he made after the US Open. What was his first match back going to look like? Where would it be? How would it be? And I think Davis Cup was a good blend of less pressure, but still high stakes.
Yes.
You know, an opportunity for him to find his footing and see if maybe the little bit of a breather he did get from leaving early at the US Open helped.
Yes, exactly. So he's looking good. Yes, the retirement did hurt, obviously, but he's looking okay. He's looking as if he's in form. So now we're going to get to the U.S. Open champions. First, we're going to go to the mixed doubles. Aryna and Vasabori. They beat Townsend and Young.
Yeah, impressive.
Yes, it was a very good match. I did see it. Donald Young said this is his last tennis match.
Wow.
Period. I didn't even think he was even in tennis shape, really. He hasn't been playing.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts of Townsend and Young making it to the final?
I really liked them as a duo. The double lefty pair up was pretty cool. And, I mean, I don't think this matters much to them, but their career presence is very similar.
Yes.
So I like the dynamic of them being on court together. And him saying it was his last tennis match, kind of like you just alluded to, I really haven't seen him playing.
Yes.
So it was kind of a high and by thing, it felt like. But, man, I was like kind of happy to see him. And then he was like, this is the last time you'll see me. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah, good for him, though. That was a good way to go out.
Yes, exactly. And then we got the doubles women's champions. Kashinak and Ostapenko. Yes,
making noise.
They beat Zhang and Marjanovic.
Another surprise win. I thought the favorites would be Zhang, but Ostapenko.
Yes,
finding places to be successful.
Yes, exactly. She lost early to Osaka, but she still made a presence at the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
Want to add to that?
No, not a whole lot. It's cool to see when a player that has high expectations for themselves in singles, when they lose, to not let it affect dramatically their doubles run. And she did a good job of that.
Yes, and funny story here. Kashinak was supposed to be married that day of the final, but she postponed the marriage and said on court, sometimes you got to put the wedding on hold to win a title.
Wow.
Any thoughts there?
It's kind of funny. It shows you where her expectations were that she booked the wedding assuming she wouldn't be in the final.
Yes.
So good for her. That's a great reason to postpone a wedding.
Yes, I agree. And maybe she didn't think she was going to make it that far. So she planned the wedding just in case. And then she made it that far. And then it's okay. Well, I'm here.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, that was a really cool story. And then as you guys know, this is the first U.S. Open with an American woman and man in the final since 2002. If you know, there's a Serena documentary on ESPN Plus. Mm-hmm. So with me telling you that, do you want to guess who the two finalists on the men and the women's side were in 2002?
2002 is not the Roddick year, right?
No, that was 2003.
Yeah, it's 2003. What is his name? It's not Agassi.
Pete.
It's Pete in 2002? Oh, wow. Okay. Impressive.
And obviously Serena.
Yeah, Serena, for
sure. So that's a long time.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the Americans coming forward now?
Yeah, honestly, it's a little tricky. Maybe it's my bias. I'm not sure if it's me being a little bit opinionated in the wrong ways, but I don't compare this American era to that one yet. Serena Pete finals does not really add up to me the same as the finals we got here. But that's not to say that there's not opportunity here. You know, Pegula, great. Fritz, great. But it would have meant a little more to me if one of them found a way to make it happen and close out that final. So this is a good sign, though. This is a very good sign. Pegula, we kind of knew was possible. And with the American men, we didn't think it was possible. Most of us didn't. You know?
No.
This was an impressive run.
Yes, we'll get to Pegula and Fritz in a bit. Mm-hmm. But Sabalenka, who's the winner, 16-1 in Grand Slam matches this year. Very dominant, and that's without playing Wimbledon. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts there?
Incredible year. She's figured it out mentally, it seems. She's in a great place mentally, and to be totally frank with you, her tennis game isn't changing all that much, and it just really shows you how much the mental aspect can affect your growth.
Yes.
I think she made some good adjustments on her serve, and her strokes look just as good as they did. I don't think her strokes have dramatically changed, and she's just playing confidently. So, huge shout out to her. If I'm Iga, I am coming up with a hit list of ways to take out Sabalenka next year. That's my top priority, because that's the person between you and history.
Yes, I agree. And since you brought up Iga, a lot of people on social media are saying she's just a clay quarter, and she needs to prove herself more.
Sounds very familiar to another clay court legend.
Exactly. He did make a little bit more of a splash.
Yeah.
But since we brought it up, do you think Iga could figure it out? She does have a U.S. Open title.
Yeah, I think she for sure can figure it out. She's highly athletic. She's highly disciplined. She has the type of strokes that can open up a court, but she's going to have to learn how to capitalize on her game style and make it more than what it is right now.
Yes.
You know what's funny is we had the conversation about playing like the men.
Yes, we did.
Maybe she should try watching what did the Nadals and Federers do against the Del Potros. You know, what were the solutions and the alternatives, and how do you find solutions against someone who can hit so hard and flat and open up the court on you with a basic ground stroke?
Yes,
you know,
agree.
Those guys figured it out because they were losing to him at first, and then they problem solved and found ways without overpowering back. It can be done, and maybe her and her team just need to do a little homework.
Yes, I agree. It could definitely be done. She needs to figure out some of the weaknesses that she has, but right now, Sabalenka on hardcourt, she's looking unbeatable.
Yeah.
And no wonder she was the favorite after winning Cincinnati to win the U.S. Open.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
Yes, for sure. But before I forget, I'm going to go back to the Alcaraz real quick. Mm-hmm. So in May, when Alcaraz won the French Open, I tried to purchase his shirt. Mm-hmm. Couldn't get it. Not even close.
Yeah.
Cincinnati US Open when he loses in the second round, no big deal. Right there. So I don't know what that's about, but
interesting. We had some hype beasts out there.
Yes, I don't know what's going on. But going on to the podcast, more Sabalenka. She is the youngest player to make 4 consecutive US Open singles semifinals since Venus.
Wow.
That's in 2002.
Sheesh.
If you haven't watched the Serena documentary, it's good. You would know that Venus dominated. Although Serena won the Slam in 99, Venus was dominating early in their career.
Very.
So what are your thoughts on Sabalenka?
I think it's her time. I think it's her time to shine. And I anticipate Sabalenka's run going into next year. I don't think it's over for her in her run. And let's pay close attention to what happens at the Australian Open for sure.
Yes.
Because that number 1 spot is...
It's right there.
It's right there.
It's right there.
Close, so we'll see.
Yes, I agree. And more Sabalenka. This is where the comparison comes in with Serena. First woman to reach back-to-back U.S. Open singles finals since Serena. Wow. Serena did it in 18 and 19. Osaka and Andreescu, I believe, were the ones who beat her.
Yeah.
And this time it's Sabalenka with Goff and Pegula.
Nice.
Any thoughts there? There's big comparisons.
I mean, I would say that the comparison that should be made is Sabalenka's ability to dominate her competition on a hard court. That's the comparison. I don't think it's a talent comparison. I don't think it's a legacy comparison yet. And I also don't think she is as well-rounded on all surfaces as maybe the Serena comparison earns.
Yes.
But, I agree with the way she's able to beat her rivals, her competition, the way she looked in that final. I'll give her credit. She is looking dominant. And I understand where that comparison to Serena comes from.
Yes, we will get to that in a bit. But, yeah, she's made a semi or a final when she played Ash Barty, and she's made a semi at the French Open. So she is playing well on all surfaces.
Yeah.
But going on more stats on Sabalenka, she's the 4th woman to win the U.S. Open and Cincinnati back-to-back. The other 3 are Clijsters, Serena, and Coco Gauff last year.
Coco Gauff.
Yes, we'll get to her in a bit as well. Any thoughts there?
Same thoughts. It's impressive, and like I said, all these statistics tell me that this isn't the end of her run. So let's pay close attention next year.
And a little more, first woman to win both Australian and Open, U.S. Open titles since Kerber in 2016.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
I forgot Kerber did that in the same year.
Right. So that was pretty impressive. And now we're gonna get to the big comparison. McEnroe and Roddick spoke about it. So did Clem Clijsters. But I'm just going to speak about McEnroe and Roddick. McEnroe said, these are the 2 of the biggest hitters ever in the women's game. Talking about Sabalenka, and he's saying he hits just as hard as Serena.
He's saying she hits as hard as Serena does?
Correct. They're the 2 biggest hitters in the women's tour ever.
I agree with that.
What are your thoughts?
I agree with that from a miles per hour perspective. I do think that Serena, the difference is just, and you know what I'm going to say, the ability to rotate the ball, spin the ball, create more angles, soften her game when needed. That's the only major difference I see as far as power goes. But as far as flat out cracking a ball, yeah, they both hit the hardest by far. They can hit through people without angles. They can do it. But yeah, Serena was taking people off the court, rolling that ball to the sides. She was doing a lot more with the ball artistically. So, yeah, interesting for him to say that because I think it's true, but it's a little misleading.
Yes, and that's why I'm going to bring the Roddick statement. And he makes it pretty clear what he means, which is good. He said, I'm not saying she's as good or great. the movement not the same, the consistency of serve not the same. But as far as style wise, where you constantly having to deal with the power, she's the closest to Serena. That was Andy Roddick talking about the two.
Okay.
Is that a better statement for you?
Yeah, that's 100% accurate. Sounds like Andy Roddick. He's so good with his takes. You know,
yes,
that's pretty accurate.
Yes, exactly. And I'll just get to the Kim Kleisters. She said that when she played Serena, she felt constant pressure and off the ground, and there was no breathing on her, because if you hit a short ball, she's going to put it away. So she said that that's the same thing that happened with Pegula when she played Sabalenka. If you hit one short ball or one hanging ball, she's on the defensive from the get-go. Do you agree there?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's a pressure we hear a lot of players talk about when they play people who punish them for mistakes. We heard it about Alcaraz from Felix, who just said there's a constant pressure when you play him, because if your ball has any level of vulnerability in it, these are the players who crack that ball.
Right.
You know, so this is another great... It's a common denominator with all these legendary players, you know. What do they do when there's a slight opening? They kick the whole door open, you know? So this is a good sign for Sabalenka. We're hearing comparisons within her game to other super great players as well. So I think that's a really cool thing to notice.
Yes, I agree. And now we're going to get to Pegula. She is now the new #1 American. Coco Gauff's not even in the top 5 anymore.
Oof.
What are your thoughts there?
A lot of points to defend. And congratulations to Pegula. Unlike Sabalenka, I'm less certain of what this means long term. And that's not to say I think she's going to flop or fall off the rankings or anything like that. But I don't know what she takes from this and where she shows up in the next coming months or maybe in the next slam. But this is an opportunity for her to build a lot of confidence. I'm very curious what she takes away from it, because it can be a little bit discouraging to get that far and then feel like you came up short.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's such a big win. So I'm very curious with her. To me, it's a gray area.
Yes, Pegula, again, she finally has been able to put her game together. She's been struggling a lot, and she finally found it at the right time. She's always been knocking in the top 5 to begin with, and she was always losing in the quarters or the semis. So the fact that she made it to the finals was awesome, and she finally proved that she can make deep runs.
Yeah.
So she definitely earned that spot.
Yeah, for sure.
And then also Navarro, who beat Coco Gauff twice this year, is now in the top 10.
Oof, Coco.
Yes, so Coco, yes, we'll get to her in a bit. What are your thoughts on Navarro? She is now the world number 8.
I mean, she just had a great, what is this, the third quarter of the year, you'd say?
Yes.
Her third quarter has just been incredible. And she's really, I feel like she didn't have the name for herself she has now a year ago. I feel like this past year, she's really separated herself from her previous self. So, yeah, I think that's someone who's on the rise.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now we're going to talk about the new top 10. Now, for the longest time, the conversation back in May was that the new big 3 was Iga, Sabalenka, and Rybakina, and that Gauff wasn't even near it. Well, now there's a new big 3. It is Swiatek, Sabalenka, Pegula. Rybakina has had a little bit of problems. You know, I haven't dug deep into it. There's been speculation about her coach being banned from the WTA. You know, so but there's been a lot going on with Rybakina. So she's at number 4. Do you want to add anything or?
As far as the Rybakina situation goes, I haven't dug into it, but I can't count her out. And I think she's given enough consistency to constitute why she was in that conversation.
Yes.
She's given a lot to the sport as far as accomplishments go. And Pegula is just kind of earning her place. I mean, I think she moved up 4 spots from the final. So for her to start that conversation of being the new big 3, Holger Rune.
Yes, exactly.
I think she needs a little more time in her spot. Let's see what she does at the Australian. Let's see what she does over the next few months. And let's see if Rybakina is able to rebound after taking the extended break this winter and coming back next year fresh.
Yes, I agree.
So.
And now even Paolini has gone above Coco Gauff.
As she should.
As she should? Okay. Yeah. And now Gauff is outside of the top 5 into number 6. Mm-hmm. Are you concerned? We talked about her last week, but would you like to add a little more?
You know, it's funny. I'm actually not concerned. And I've said this about Gauff for many, many years. She's someone who didn't just fly into the top 10. She grinded her way up. She worked her way up. She earned her events year by year. And so it's going to take a lot more than just a couple points being lost at a slam for me to be really nervous for her, because I feel like her bottom line level is higher than a lot of the other top 10 players' bottom line level. And I think she'll be fine. Is she playing better than Paolini? No.
Yes, I agree.
Paolini showed up on grass, on clay, and is just showing up everywhere at this point. So for me, Paolini's someone who, to me, she's probably the 3rd best player on the planet right now, this moment, behind Sabalenka and Iga.
Okay.
I just really like what she did over the last 6 months. And, you know what's funny is her play style, to me, is less sustainable than Coco's. I think that Coco's play style, when polished and fixed to its maximum ability, her ceiling is higher. So we'll see what happens. Coco at the 6th spot, she will be back in the top 5, top 4, for sure.
Okay. I could respect the Paolini. She definitely has had better results in Grand Slams than Pegula. Her movement is better.
Yeah.
And she actually has a decent serve for her height. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I can see why you're saying that Pegula should be higher ranked than... Paolini being higher ranked than Pegula. Mm-hmm. I don't mind that argument at all.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting to me. So now we're going to get to the men, the ATP. Purcell and Thompson. Thompson's been having a good single season as well.
Sneaky. Good.
Sneaky, exactly. Men's doubles final. Mm-hmm. They won the championship. What are your thoughts on that?
Impressive. I think I saw Nick Kyrgios give him a good shout out. Yeah, congrats to him. It was a little surprising. It's always surprising with doubles. You know, someone wins that I wouldn't have bet on, and I'm always happy about it. You know, I'm glad it's someone that I recognize. Purcell is a legendary doubles player, but Thompson, I wasn't aware of his ability in doubles.
Yes.
So good for him. They did a great job.
Yes, I agree. Now we're going to get to the 4 Grand Slam semifinals by age. Mm-hmm. So although Djokovic did not win a slam as a teenager, he was the youngest to make all 4 Grand Slam semifinals. Mm-hmm. He was 20 years, 250 days. Nadal, 22 years, 96 days. Courier, 22 years, 321 days. Jannik Sinner, 23 years, 23 days.
Wow.
And then it's Becker, 23 years, 66 days.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Sinner making all 4 semifinals now?
We're talking about big, high-level consistency. Super impressive. And he's an incredible Hall of Fame company already. So we've got to keep an eye out on Sinner, because it's really just a question of how high is his ceiling at this point.
Yes.
You know, that's the real question.
Yes, I agree. He's going to keep climbing and climbing, and that's pretty much that for sure. Players with 22 Grand Slam wins in a season since 2001. Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, Murray, the big 4, and now Jannik Sinner. So that just speaks about his consistency. He's finally coming to his level, and it'll be good. Now, I want to bring something up. When Sinner won the Australian Open and Alcaraz lost in the quarters or semis, everyone was writing off Alcaraz. He's done. Sinner just won the US Open. Alcaraz lost in the second round. Do you think Alcaraz is going to have a struggle?
No, not at all. He expressed what I was already concerned with, which is the people who had the most chaotic schedules going into the US Open kind of fell a little short.
Yeah.
It's just what it is, you know. So I don't expect anything from him until maybe the World Tour Finals, maybe. Which to me, the World Tour Finals suits Sinner more than Alcaraz, in my opinion. I would expect to see everyone come back at a fully charged 100% next year.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
And now, since I'm bringing a theme here of Djokovic and Sinner, Djokovic is not undefeated. He has a winning record against the whole top 20.
I saw that.
Yes, the only people that are even close to him are Sinner and Alcaraz. He's 4-3 against those two. The rest of them, it's pretty wide open.
Yeah.
Fritz 9-0, Hurkacz 7-0, Medvedev 10-5, Tsitsipas 12-2, Dimitrov 12-1. What are your thoughts on the domination of Djokovic?
This is where you start bringing up Serena Williams, to me. People that are quote-unquote rivals having these very landslide, lopsided matchups head-to-head against a player. Djokovic has got a head-to-head over almost everyone on the tour. It's a very, very, very short list of people he doesn't have a winning record over, and it's more so because he just didn't play them enough.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not a matter of someone being better than him. It's just getting them on the court to be against him enough and more often.
Right.
So, yeah, I feel bad for Musetti.
Oh, yeah, that's a bad one, too.
He's ran into Djokovic too many times for someone who is ranked the way he's been ranked.
Right.
Poor guy.
Yes. So now that we spoke about that, I'm going to bring up an interesting statement. Navratilova was saying this is Djokovic. He wanted to get the gold medal. So he has completed everything in tennis. So then she said the end of his time is catching up with him.
Really?
Unless he still has fire to compete, he may want to think about his future, pretty much.
Really?
So that's why I was reading all these stats, because he's still doing good against the top 20. But now he is now number 4 in the ATP rankings. As we know, Medvedev, Alcaraz, and Sinner have played each other in the same half of the bracket at Wimbledon and at the US Open. So now Djokovic may not have that luxury of an easy draw.
Yeah.
So do you agree with Navratilova? Does the ranking back it up?
No. For me, Djokovic has had we got to remember a lot of the other intangibles of the year. One being the coaching and the off-court situations he's been going through, which has been impactful on his results. And then also the chaotic schedule of Wimbledon, Fringe, Olympics, falling almost directly into the US Open. And him not necessarily having a bad year. You know, he hasn't played bad. He just hasn't won the slams. So I think he's still motivated. I think that he probably has some off-court business he needs to attend to. Figure out exactly what you're going to do. What's your new system and routine as someone who's running around with no coach or anything like that? Or are you going to find one and you were just waiting for things to fizzle out? I don't know. And on top of that, he's mostly spent the year losing points. You know, it's just what it is. And if he ever wanted to go out there and chase more points to facilitate getting easier routes to Grand Slam finals, he knows how to do that grind. You know, he can play a few 250s, play a few 500s, close that gap up a little bit and get the ranking he wants. But I don't think that's really his MO.
No.
So I think he's going to be fine. I think he just needs to handle getting the Djokovic factory rolling again with the right employees.
Yes, I agree. And again, now that he is at the number 4 spot, that may be a little tougher draw for him.
Yeah, for sure.
So now he may not have that coasting draw. You know, so it's going to be interesting for Djokovic to see what his results are next year. But now we have our favorite Italian player, the old school guy, Adriano Panetta. He made a comment and he said, Djokovic isn't beating Sinner again. What are your thoughts on that?
Man. I think it's a fun take. I think it's a fun hot take. And I like the idea because Sinner at the US Open and Djokovic at the US Open would make me say the same thing if I didn't know history at all. But do we really favor Sinner over Djokovic on grass and clay?
I don't think so.
I personally don't believe so yet. But I do like the idea of favoring Sinner on a hard court.
Yes, he's proven it.
I think that he's got Djokovic outmatched even when Djokovic was playing great tennis still. He kind of was giving him a hard time.
Yes.
So I like the take, but I'm not sold on Sinner 100% on the two other surfaces. So
that's a good take. I'd have to agree with you there. Sinner had a 2-0 lead at Wimbledon.
Yeah.
And then he couldn't finish it off.
So for the record, Djokovic was in 2 Grand Slam finals this year.
Yes.
Right? He lost to Sinner in Australia.
In the semis, yes.
Oh, you're right. It was the semis. Okay, so he lost in the semis at one.
It was Wimbledon.
Wimbledon, he was in the final.
Correct.
And then he had a walkover at the French against Casper Ruud.
Yes, he injured his.
That's where the knee injury happened.
Right. So he's made one
and
final.
And the knee injury.
Right.
Yeah, I can't do this dramatic write-off thing. I'm trying to recap his year in my head. We're talking about Grand Slam semifinal, Grand Slam final, knee injury, still a gold medal, and then after a chaotic schedule on that knee with no coach, he has an early exit at US Open. This reminds me of Federer in 2013. This reminds me of Nadal during 20 whatever year, where I think we're not used to seeing Djokovic have physical ailments, off-court issues, and a chaotic schedule all at once. We've never really seen that happen since 2009 or 8 or something. So I think he's fine.
I can see the Navratilova take because obviously he hasn't won a slam, which he hasn't done in a while, in a year. So I could see that take.
Yeah.
Because she also said if he has the fire to still compete.
Yeah.
So I can see that take. Obviously, again, with him being the 4 seed now, the draw could change for him now big time.
Yeah.
So now we're going to see. Next year is a big tell for Djokovic. So moving on, we're going to get to Jack Draper. He is the first British man to make a singles semifinal since Andy Murray in 2012.
That's not long ago enough for me to be impressed.
Okay.
Andy Murray's still here, baby, in my heart.
Okay, then moving on to the take with Sinner.
Draper.
Moving on to the take with Draper. You do know in the semis he was throwing up. He couldn't contain his fluids. Obviously, he kept calling for the physio, and then that's when Sinner called for the physio as well because he sprained his wrist a little bit. But after the match, he said, mate, Sinner just doesn't have any weaknesses. It's hard to find a weakness when you play him. What are your thoughts on his take on Sinner?
I agree. To me, Sinner's serve has improved, which I think everyone's saying. Sinner's a good returner. Sinner on the baseline is probably the best player on the planet right now. And the only option you have is to maybe try to open up the court with the up and down motions, bringing him forward and trying to create a little bit more of the cat and mouse. But to be honest with you, Sinner's very good at cat and mouse. He is a good player. So I'm not really sure what the solution is as far as just picking a weakness. I think you have to pick your patterns and be more strategic and try to construct points to beat him. I don't think there's a hole on the court.
Yes.
You have to create a sequence if you want to beat Sinner. And you've got to serve out of your mind.
Right.
Those are the two keys to me.
Yes, I agree. So now we're going to get to Fritz. He is, it's been 18 years since there was an American in the final. The last one, you want to take a guess?
Andy Roddick.
Andy Roddick.
Yeah, I remember that one. I watched it.
And he is the 12th man to reach the U.S. American. He is the 12th American to reach a U.S. Open final.
Wow. Okay.
Did you expect a little bit more Americans to reach the U.S. Open final?
I did. the 90s and early 2000s, there was a lot of dominant male players from America.
Yes.
So, a little surprising.
Yes, that was surprising to me as well. I didn't expect that.
But it's the amount of American men that made the final, you're saying?
Yes.
Not how many times did an American man
Correct.
get,
Yes.
Because, like Pete, for example, he's preventing a new American man from maybe getting to the final every time he played the US Open.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of years where there's an American in the final, but maybe there wasn't a lot of different men in the final.
Correct.
Tricky statistics.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, this is shocking to me. 54-5 in the season. Federer, 54-5 in 2017.
Such a good year.
Everybody wrote him off to lose to Nadal at the Australian Open, and he ended up winning. And the fact that he got that record that year is amazing.
It is.
And now Sinner has matched it. What are your thoughts there?
Sinners doesn't feel as mind-blowing because we expected it, but it's an incredible season. When you recap that in my head, I think about Federer taking out Nadal at Indian Wells also that year.
Right.
Federer just having a phenomenal year all year 2017, and if you were a Federer fan, you were in heaven. So the fact that Sinner's replicating that, and a lot of people maybe didn't realize it because there wasn't an atmosphere of expectation for him to fail, that's awesome, And I think that Sinner is destined for a better season than he had this year. I think there is a greater season in his future. So, shout out to him.
Yes, I agree. And now, players who have won both hardcourt titles in the same year. Australia and the US Open. Djokovic did it 3 times. Mats Wilander did it once. Federer did it 3 times. And Sinner now. So, joining great company there.
As always.
Yes, and then we have another stat in changing it up with Alcaraz now. In 2017, Nadal and Federer split the slams 2-2. And now in 2024, Alcaraz and Sinner split the slams 2-2. Is this a new world order of tennis?
Yes, but what I love more than anything is I imagine the slams represent 4 pillars of a building, right? And when the pillars are shared by 2 people or less, meaning 1 to 2 people, it shows a level of stability in the structure, right? It shows you that this building is going to be up for a very long time. But once you start getting one guy won here, one guy won there, one guy won here, you start to feel a little more nervous about those pillars being there for a long time, because all it takes is 2 pillars to come down for a building to come down, when there's 4. So seeing it like this makes me not just feel that there's a new order, but that there is protected stability in men's tennis for an extended period of time to go forward. We got this feeling from Federer, Nadal, from Djokovic of there's multiple pillars being held up by the same people.
Right.
We know that the sport has stability. It maintains higher stakes. People winning consistently makes it so that there's something to lose every time you watch a tournament. And they're doing a great job. This easily could have been a year of a brand new slam winner. The draw was wide open. And they found a way to still get each one. So, great job.
Yes, I agree. There's definitely a new world order. There's the third is missing still. We don't know who that is still.
We know who we thought it would be.
Yes.
But, yeah, we haven't seen it.
Yeah. No Holger Rune. He wasn't even close.
Yeah.
I guess Medvedev.
Yeah,
Medvedev was the one.
I thought Medvedev would be the one and Zverev would be our long-term dark horse.
Right.
But yeah, they both came up a little short.
Yes, they did. So, but yeah, so the new generation is still holding their own and taking the Medvedev's the Medvedev, Zverev, and Tsitsipas's of the world, preventing them from moving forward.
Yeah.
And also in 2019, Nadal and Djokovic won 2 titles in the same year as well. So I thought that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yes. So now we're going to get to the beef. Kyrgios. I guess there was a fan who posted a picture with Sinner and Kalinskaya. Mm-hmm. And then Kyrgios responded with a picture of him and her at a Laker game and said second serve. No, but everybody's speculating why. Is there beef with Kyrgios and Sinner? Obviously, Kyrgios has voiced his opinion about Sinner should be suspended, banned from the tour for years, just as everybody else. I don't know if there's deeper beef than that.
It seems like it.
Yes, but I don't know what's going on there. Before I get to the rest of that story, what are your thoughts on Kyrgios' response?
It sounds petty. I mean, petty is entertaining, and I like petty, but it sounds petty. I have to call a spade there. It is very interesting because it's so funny to call someone's relationship second serve, but it is definitely... It sounds like it's motivated past more than just the steroids, the PEDs.
Yes.
It sounds like it's deeper than that. So what else were you going to bring up?
So people have said he shouldn't even be commenting on ESPN. This has been going on for years now with McEnroe, Everett, and now Kyrgios. They're saying that McEnroe is not prepared enough, which is the truth. There are times where his response of a low seed playing a high seed, his response is always, well, nobody in his family knows who this guy is. And then it's all, well, can you tell me who it is? You know? And then, as you know, with all the drama with Chris Evert, with the whole Muhova playing like a man, you know, sometimes he's just too opinionated and not enough facts behind it. And now Kyrgios with his thug commentating is what the fans are saying. He shouldn't even have been in ESPN. They should have kicked him out.
Oh my goodness.
What are your thoughts on all three, if you want to comment, or just on Kyrgios?
I'm okay with all three. For sure, John McEnroe for me is just a little detached, right?
Yeah.
He's a very busy man. He's a very successful media active person, and I don't think he spends any time studying or doing research before he commentates. I think he goes in there and goes, I'm a professional tennis player that still plays tennis, that still talks to pros, that is active. So I feel like I am competent and qualified to sit on a microphone and speak. And is that true to some degree? Yeah. For sure. But to the point you're stating, is it fair to up-and-coming players who may have a bright future for you to shortchange them because it's early in their career? No, it's not. You know, fans and we depend on media to educate us and inform us of who we should care about and why, and who we shouldn't care about and why. So for you to just go, Joe Schmo ranked what? You know, stuff like that. We do that ourselves. We don't need your help with that, you know? So that's my only gripe with McEnroe. As far as his insight, his ability to analyze the game, when he actually does know a player, I think he's brilliant.
Yes,
you know,
I agree.
I think he's amazing. So he still belongs on the commentary pool. I think they should be more selective about what matches they give him. I think the producers need to go, McEnroe doesn't know a single player outside the top 40. Let's not waste his time or ours. And let's put him in the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals of tournaments as a commentator. And maybe let's focus on people who are either younger and maybe obviously know more players on the tour, like a Kyrgios. Kyrgios knows Jordan Thompson. Kyrgios knows younger players that are rising because he's been on the tour within the last 3 to 4 years.
And that's why it's smart to have him there.
Yeah, because I don't want to jump on my point too soon on that, but there's a reason why he's there.
Yeah.
Now, as far as Evert, I think that some people are just more blunt. I think some people are a bit more opinionated. I think some people maybe aren't as soft with their commentary, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I really don't. What she said, I think we reiterated it here, and we kind of tried to, I don't know what the word is. We paraphrased a bit what she was trying to say. And to me, she wasn't wrong. She just did it wrong.
Yeah.
So I guess the argument is if you have the skill sets of tennis and analyzing the sport, but you lack the ability to articulate those thoughts in a professional manner, should you be professionally speaking? That's the question at hand there. So to me, she's the one that I kind of get it. I kind of understand. But even then, I do believe she's qualified to do her job. I really do. So I'm not a sensitive listener. I don't think the players have any reason to be sensitive because media is 10 times harder on them. And she's only speaking on what is being shown in front of her eyes. She's not inventing things. She's talking about the player playing the ball. So I back her up. And then finally with Nick Kyrgios, I genuinely think that Nick Kyrgios is just more relatable to the youth than he is to elders. I think that's ultimately what it is.
Yeah, which is what I said. Yes, he knows the newer generation, and he can add more to it.
Yeah, and he does. I mean, he has a larger following than almost all the top 10 men in the world in tennis, and almost all the top 10 women in the world in tennis. And he's not ranked in the top 10.
Right.
His popularity is impactful. He does bring new ears and eyes. And he's involved in the esports, and he's just involved in a lot of the sectors that maybe tennis doesn't normally get access to, and that's why they're using him. You know, he's doing a great job of broadcasting, journalism, being a media mogul, and creating outreach and bringing more eyes and ears this way.
Right.
So it would be a terrible business decision not to involve him in more. And I think that producers get that. They know. You know, I don't even know if these producers even like Kyrgios. They know what he can do.
And he's actually knowledgeable about the game.
Yeah.
So that's an added bonus too. So
yeah, that's a huge bonus. We're talking about a guy who he didn't get points for Wimbledon, but on paper he should have been 11 in the world with no coach.
Right.
You know, so if you want to have a real conversation about who's the most qualified to commentate, he's more qualified than most commentators that commentate on Tennis Channel. So I think that all three of them deserve to be there. And when you get ex-athletes doing commentary, you're getting less professional journalistic skills, but you're getting more gifted experience in stories and analogies, and you're getting a lot of other things that, like the Andy Roddicks of the world, can bring to the table that a regular journalist just can't bring. Because if you didn't go through it, you don't understand going out there on the court with a stomach ache. You don't understand going out on the court after you just got in an argument with your coach and now you got to work together. You don't understand those things as just a commentator that did journalism.
And also it's breaking down of the game. They don't see the game as Martina does. She's a very good commentator when it comes to breaking down the game.
She's top 3.
Yes. Roddick is good. Even Courier.
Yeah.
So those are former players, and they know how to break down a game.
Yeah.
So that's fun to watch, especially when you're a consistent fan of tennis where you're watching it on a regular basis.
Yeah. Especially if, like we've done, we remember when James Blake was on the tour. And now when we see him doing journalism, we go, man, the guy who was doing those shots also understands this part of the game, and we get to hear the other side of it.
Yes.
You know, it's more transparent because we didn't really hear a lot from the players back then.
Right.
So it's pretty cool.
3 more topics. The next one is something that hasn't been done since 1988. So the first players to win the women's and men's singles titles since 1988. Steffi Graf when she won the Golden Slam, and Mats Wilander. They both won the US Open and the Australian Open. What are your thoughts on that? Sabalenka and Sinner now.
That's crazy that it just happened like this.
Yes.
Very impressive. And I mean, I think Sabalenka's 26. I think she's around 26. And Sinner's 22, 23. 23?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, these are some young players. We're talking another 10 years out of these players at least. So, crazy stats.
Yes, the women are definitely playing a lot longer. And as long as they remain healthy, they'll be able to dominate.
Yeah.
So you saw Serena, and that's just the factor that they can continue. So this is a funny story as well. So if you remember Noah Lyles in the Olympics, he was comparing men's basketball to they're not world champions. They play in the United States. How are they world champions? And then when he lost one event, then the USA basketball team was all, are we world champions now? Well, he made a comment about tennis. He said, tennis players are world champions. They play international players that play against the top in the world. These are considered world champions.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that statement?
I agree. I agree with him. It's funny. It just sounds like he's a little ignorant to say that to the NBA, because it's globally acknowledged that the NBA is the pinnacle of basketball at this point in time on Earth. Will it be that way forever? Maybe, maybe not. I think players will always go where the pay is the highest. And right now, the NBA is paying the most. So the best players on the whole planet usually go play in the NBA. Luka Doncic is not an American.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
So they're technically playing against the world. The problem is, if you're in Lithuania, you might not even make it to the NBA because you're just not good enough to play in the NBA. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's the most exclusive VIP elite club of basketball on the planet.
Yeah.
So it's different versus an all-inclusive club of self-contractors that anyone can sign up, and it's just up to you how much you win. That's tennis. That's mixed martial arts. That's a lot of the other sports. The UFC is considered the highest level of martial arts in the world. But not everyone's going to get access to it because it's just the best that get invited, So I think he was a little ignorant in his statement, but he is right. The way that tennis is infrastructured, it is the world all going at each other at once.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the NBA isn't that.
Yeah.
It's just done differently.
Yes. No,
quality control.
Yeah, you covered that pretty well, so there's really nothing to add. And then the last one is the new top 10. Tsitsipas has now dropped outside the top 10. He's still in the top 15. So he's still figuring out a way to stay in the top 15, although he keeps losing in the first, second, and third round at the US Open. The big jump is Taylor Fritz. He is now the number 7 ranked player in the world.
Huge.
And then the other big one, obviously, we covered it earlier. Djokovic dropping outside of the top 3.
Yeah.
And Zverev jumping Alcaraz and Djokovic to number 2 in the world.
Wow.
Would you like to comment on that?
Look, Zverev has just been there, present, performing everywhere. And he just can't close.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zverev has looked like the guy to watch out for all year. Well, not all year, but since he's come back. So yeah, it makes sense. Djokovic has had his worst year in a long time. Alcaraz has been basically all in, dominate everyone, or he kind of goes out. So he's all or nothing. And Zverev's been that guy who's just a little short each time. So it's been a very interesting year. I agree. I think Zverev is the second best player on the planet right now.
Yeah, he's playing lights out tennis.
Yeah.
Unless he's playing Taylor Fritz.
Apparently.
Yes.
Mind-blowing loss to me. That's a mind-blowing loss.
Yes, I agree too. Going back to Alcaraz, his year next year is going to be very interesting because he won the French Open and Wimbledon back-to-back. He's going to have to defend a ton of points. So any slip-up, he could drop in the ranking hard.
Yeah.
The good news is that he didn't get any points at the US Open.
Yeah.
So if he makes a deep run there, he can salvage the year.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
It's a yo-yo year. It's going to be tricky for him.
Yes.
But at the same time, assuming Djokovic has a year that's less than stellar again, Alcaraz can expect to make quarterfinals pretty much in his sleep if he just shows up clear-minded and physically good.
Yes.
He can guarantee himself quarters. Then from there, depending on his ranking and the draw, it could go any way. But yeah, to me, Alcaraz is the favorite matchup against almost everyone on the tour. There's a few kind of oddball matchups for him. Zverev, to me, is one of them. That's a tough matchup for him. And there's a few others, but yeah, I don't see him having a bad year next year, even with his odd calendar of points to protect.
Yes.
I think he's going to have a good first quarter of the year. And I think that he probably will have a hard time with that calendar of Wimbledon, French, US Open again, but there's an opportunity without Olympics being present for him to make it work.
Yes, I agree.
You know?
So that was the new top 10, and it's a changing one, and it shows that the changing of the guard is here now for sure.
Let me tell you about something that's not changing. The number 6 man in the world. Still Rublev.
Yeah, he's still there. He's
no
still
matter
there.
what hurricanes and tornadoes hit the tour, Rublev stands strong in his gatekeeping position. Do you think that will ever change?
Yeah, he's Ferrer and Berdych for sure.
Yeah, he's had a roller coaster year.
Yes.
And still cleaned it up at very specific tournaments.
Right, he's always right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's right there. What can you say about him? So,
poor guy.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think the last thing I bring up is just maybe the World Tour Finals race.
Okay.
Do we want to do a little small update on that?
You good? Yeah.
Okay. I will tell you who the top 10 guys are in the race, and then I'll tell you a few people who have an opportunity to sneak in. So we'll do it that way. So as obviously the top 10, which we just covered: Grigor Dimitrov, Novak Djokovic, Alex de Minaur. So a newer face.
He's on the edge, right?
Yeah. Rublev, Casper Ruud, who's number 6 in the race. Taylor Fritz, number 5 in the race. Medvedev, Alcaraz, Zverev, and Sinner. Djokovic is number 9 in the race to the World Tour Finals. And he's cutting it kind of close. But I did want to bring up some surprising people who are within reach, who had maybe a spottier year. Stefanos is in reach. Tommy Paul knocking on the door at the 11th spot. Francis Tiafoe with a very late run this year is 14th. And then the last one, only because I find it slightly relevant, number 16, Holger Rune. Not going to make it, but it's interesting to see who's knocking on that door. Is there anyone you think might have their spot overtaken out of the last 3, which would be de Minaur, Djokovic, Grigor? Those are the last 3 in the race. Anyone you think could take their spots?
I think de Minaur will take a spot, I believe. Djokovic, it's going to depend on if he's going to travel to the Asian swing. It's hard to say if he's going to travel to Shanghai, or will he just do the Paris Masters.
Do you think it's important to him to make it to World Tour Finals this year?
Yeah, it's probably not. It may not be of relevance to him.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not counting him in,
Yeah.
because don't know his plans.
Yeah.
But de Minaur, for sure, he can make a run. He can surpass somebody. I see Tsitsipas. I don't know about that guy. He's been struggling. He's up and down. So I don't know if I would count him in.
Okay. That's all I got.
All right. In that case, I hope you guys were entertained.
ATP.
Until next time.